In my view, the priority to achieve climate justice, and by extension environmental justice, because we have to look at it in a broad way, that you have access to a natural and a very healthy environment for everyone, and everyone has his fair share. And in that sense, I think the top priority to look at this justice element on how we transition into a more sustainable world is that we think about what this means for the redistribution of material wealth. Within countries, obviously, but even more so and more importantly, among countries, and the big discrepancy that exists between the rich OECD countries and the developing and emerging countries where people still want their fair share. The planetary boundaries for climate change, but also for biodiversity, point at there's only so much to share. And if we in the Western European countries and in the North American countries are looking at this climate justice, we have to understand that redistribution is an uncomfortable truth for the OECD countries, in which we will have to reduce our absolute consumption, not just change the pattern, but really reduce our consumption and allow a fair share to the people in the developing countries. If the European Union, especially now with the new Commission coming in, and a good opportunity also with the new Parliament to put some new policies in place, I think looking at the climate change challenge and the nature challenge, because let's not forget that we are losing nature and biodiversity at an enormous speed, which is as bad as the climate change that we're looking at, then we will have to look at how we are going from what I see a peanuts approach of our development cooperation to a more substantial approach in which we will really boost that development cooperation, but always do it in the context of making sure that it is just also within the countries where we support. One of the elements that we would have to explore is to understand what the fair share for everyone on the planet is. And there has been a planetary boundary approach, there has been an ecological footprint approach, and there is very recently an interesting approach on the donut economy, in which you have this inner social circle that explains what would be the minimum. The question is, or the point is, that we haven't answered the question of what that actual minimum is of material wealth. Once we've done that, and we've done the research, we've done some analysis, then we can start to understand how much we will have to redistribute to make sure that how we develop happens within those planetary boundaries. And at some point, the conclusion will be quite clear. It is about this redistribution that I mentioned earlier, which means if there is only so much, redistribution means some will have to have less than they have today, and others will have to have more, all within those planetary boundaries.